Most people think confident people were born knowing what to do. They weren't. Some people were just lucky enough to grow up around parents, mentors, older siblings, or teachers who taught them how to think through life decisions. But a lot of people didn't get that. Nobody sat them down and explained how to choose a career, how to know if something is right for you, how to trust yourself, how to stop overthinking, how to make decisions without feeling like your whole future will collapse if you choose wrong. So they grow up scared of making mistakes. They stay stuck in degrees they hate, relationships they've outgrown, dreams they secretly want, lives they never fully chose, because nobody taught them how to decide. So this video is for those people, not to tell you exactly what choice to make, but to teach you how to think when life gives you choices. Because once you learn that, you stop feeling lost all the time. First thing you need to understand, there is almost never a perfect decision. That idea destroys people. People spend years trying to find the perfect degree, perfect timing, perfect path, perfect career, perfect person. But life rarely works like that. Most successful people did not figure everything out. They made the best decision they could with the information they had, then adjusted along the way. That's it. A huge part of adulthood is realizing clarity usually comes after action, not before it. You do not think your way into certainty. You move your way into clarity. And that's why overthinkers stay stuck, because they want guarantees before movement. But life doesn't give guarantees. It gives feedback. You try, you learn, you adapt. That's how people actually build good lives. Now here's the second thing nobody teaches. When making a decision, stop asking, what if this goes wrong? And start asking, if this does go wrong, can I recover? That changes everything. Because most fears are not actually about failure. They're about survival. Your brain thinks, if I choose the wrong thing, my life is over. But most decisions are not life-ending. They are life-directing. There's a difference. Changing a degree? Recoverable. Starting over? Recoverable. Failing at a dream? Recoverable. Wasting 2 years? Painful, yes, but recoverable. People stay trapped because they treat every choice like a final destination instead of a direction. Life is much more flexible than you think. Now let's talk about something important. Heart versus mind. People always say, follow your heart. Others say, be logical. Truth is, you need both. Your heart tells you what feels meaningful. Your mind tells you whether it's sustainable. Your heart says, I want to become an artist. Your mind asks, how do I make this financially possible? Your heart says, I hate this degree. Your mind asks, what's my plan if I leave? Healthy decisions usually happen when emotion and logic work together, not when one completely destroys the other. Because pure emotion can ruin your stability, but pure logic can slowly kill your spirit. And many people in their 20s are suffering because they built a safe life they emotionally cannot survive in. Now, another thing nobody teaches young people. Your environment affects your decisions more than your intelligence. If you're surrounded by fearful people, you'll start fearing everything. If you're surrounded by people who settled, you'll feel guilty for wanting more. If nobody around you believes in dreams, you'll slowly stop believing too. That's why sometimes confusion is not because you're incapable. You've just never seen healthy thinking modeled around you. And when you grow up without guidance, you often mistake anxiety for intuition. That's important. Not every fearful feeling is a warning sign. Sometimes it's just unfamiliarity. Sometimes your brain says, don't do it. Not because it's wrong, but because it's new. And if you always obey fear, you will accidentally build a tiny life. Now here's one of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself when making decisions. Will I regret not trying this? Not, will it definitely work? Because many things in life are uncertain. But regret leaves deep scars. Years later, many people don't cry because they failed. They cry because they never allowed themselves to try. Now let's talk about timing. A lot of people actually know what they want, but they wait too long. They wait for confidence, permission, support, the perfect moment, and suddenly years disappear. Listen carefully. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. Nobody feels ready before hard decisions, not before changing careers, not before moving cities, not before starting something meaningful. Courage usually appears during movement. And honestly, sometimes a late decision becomes a painful decision, not because you were incapable, but because fear kept delaying your life. Now, does that mean you should act impulsively? No. Good decision-making usually comes down to these questions. Does this align with the kind of life I actually want? Am I choosing this from growth or from fear? Will this matter to me 5 years from now? Am I betraying myself just to make others comfortable? And if someone I loved deeply was in my position, what advice would I give them? And finally, please stop comparing your timeline to people who had guidance you never received. Some people had emotionally healthy parents, financial support, mentors, connections, confidence built into them since childhood. Others had confusion, criticism, neglect, fear, silence. So if your journey feels slower, that does not mean you're behind. Sometimes you're not just building a future, you're building yourself from scratch. And that takes time. But once you learn how to think clearly, how to trust yourself, how to act despite uncertainty, life changes. Because the goal is not to become someone who never makes mistakes. The goal is to become someone who knows, I can handle whatever happens next. And honestly, that's what real confidence is. Subscribe to the channel for more self-growth content.